and she just blew them away, and she was 10 times better than everybody else. And then they go to the test, and they have Hillary Duff and all these people. And at your test, I can't remember, but I'm sure there were these established actors and actresses. And what happens is you get the gig. And I'll give you another example. On Whitney, there's this kid who won the diversity stand-up thing, Tone Bell. Nothing. Never did an acting job in his life. Corey Reynolds, who was on The Closer, the #1 show on television and cable for like 8 years, wants to do the show, is willing to take a pay cut. He's like, I'll do it. I'll test. I'll do whatever. He tests, Tone tests, and he does what you and what Beth Bears did. They created a problem because they were like 10 times better than everybody else. And when the studio president came in, he said, well, let's move them to the network. Let's just see what happens. Goes to the network, and the network president says, I want to hire those other people who have more experience, but this person is so much better. Another example of that for you, Jerry Maguire. There were at least 20 guys who were...
Well, there was an offer to Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Because they did Bottle Rocket for Jim Brooks.
Yeah.
And they actually had an offer to Owen Wilson. He was supposed to be Bob Sugar. It was sort of hand in glove. Like, yes, I'll produce your little independent movie, Bottle Rocket. I love the script. It's you guys, and it's Bob, and it's Jimmy Caan. And then after that, you'll do me a favor. You'll come on for a little bit of money, and you'll be this agent, a ruthless sports agent. You'll fire Tom Cruise. And then in my audition, I auditioned for
the babysitter first.
No, first I auditioned for the quarterback, and I blew my Texas accent, which I don't understand because my whole mother's side of my family is from Odessa, Texas. And I was literally like, I don't know which way I'm going to get drafted, Mr. McGuire. I sound like a black floghorn leghorn.
Combined with Don Martin.
Yeah, hey, you saw a fine little old lunch crowd. I come out first, I watch you people eat, then that other Italian and Jew come out. Then you got a show. And that's chemistry. And then I auditioned for the babysitter, and then I'll never forget Jim Brooks, of all people, just goes, what about Sugar? And I was like, oh my God, that's like the coolest part in the whole script. And I came back. I think people like what's her name?
Beth Bears
and Tone
Bell.
I think with Beth Bears and Tone Bell and myself, I think he's a stand-up.
Yes. Beth is not.
I think when you're a stand-up, and in Beth's case, I would assume this, I don't know anything about actresses. I just assume they're batshit crazy. But with comics, the closer you get to the job, you get less stressed than every actor that's ever lived. Actors, the closer they get, now I'm going to network. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Now I'm going to the studio. Oh my God, now it's the studio and the network, and they want me to read with Whitney. Like, what am I going to do? And I think with comics, the closer you get to being in front of more of an audience, it takes all the pressure away. It's like when you're headlining, they're all here to see me. It's not like I'm the middle act. I'm this interloper that's shown up, and it's like, well, who's this? I came to see fucking... David Spade. Why? Who's Kevin Farley?
It's true. I was part of
and mad respect Kevin Farley. I'm just giving an example of an opening act. That's not the reason you went.
I was, part of the process in the rooms when one of your podcast guests, Chris D'Elia, was going through the process for Whitney. And it was really incredible to see because, and I think if he were here, he would say this, he never was comfortable in his own skin throughout the majority of the process. And then when it got down to the final thing where all the money was on the line, he was amazing. And he did an incredible job, similar to what you're saying. There were more people in the room, and it was just an amazing situation. And I always relate things to sports, and these acting things. It's very similar to the NFL. Because it's like you have to be like the Baltimore Ravens. You go into the wild card game, you beat Andrew Luck. Maybe you're supposed to win that one. Then your second one,
you got to go to Peyton Manning's house.
You got to go to Peyton Manning's house. He's got more credentials. He's better, whatever.
And it's mile high. You're supposed to get winded.
You're supposed to get winded. You beat him, and you think, okay, we're in, but we're not in. We got 2 more. We got to get to the Super Bowl. The next thing, you got to go to New England. You got to play Brady, and there's a lot of people in that waiting room when you're an actor and actress that are the Bradys of the world. And you go in, and you beat Brady, and you're like, hey, we did it. We're going to the Super... Oh, fuck, we got to win the Super Bowl now. So that's the network test. And you go in, and there's a lot of other people that are like the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Kaepernick, he was an underdog, but they as a quarterback versus Flacco, but the team was favored. He was favored.
I never understood why San Francisco was favored. If you really want to talk sports for a moment, don't turn the dial. Literally, it'll be a moment. The Ravens beat Andrew Luck and the Colts on the road in Indianapolis. Then this is why I don't understand odds makers, and I'd had an odds maker on the show once, and I thought you want all the money to go in one direction so the bookies can make all the money if it goes the other way. And the odds maker on J Moore Sports, he was just some degenerate that called up out of the blue. I didn't seek him out. He goes, no, you kind of want the exact same amount of money on both sides, and then you make your money when it's like a half point, the money all goes over to the bookies. So I go, okay, well, the Ravens are underdogs against the Colts. They're underdogs against the Broncos. Everyone's going to take the Ravens, right? No, nobody took the Ravens. Nobody took the Ravens against the Patriots. And my whole thing, I had the Ravens winning the Super Bowl handily.
From the beginning.
Wasn't handily. It started handily. But my thing was, you went to Indianapolis, you beat Rookie of the Year on the road. You went to Peyton Manning. You went to Denver. You beat a Hall of Fame quarterback, Peyton Manning, on the road. You went to New England. You beat a Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the greatest that will ever play, Tom Brady, in his house. Now all of a sudden they're supposed to run aground with a fucking rookie on a neutral site. I'm like, this doesn't add up to me. All of it Ravens.
Yeah, well, it's for you listening, it all relates to the business. It so relates to the business. This is what's really amazing. The end of the game, okay? Colin Kaepernick.
It's fucking March. We're talking about the Super Bowl.
It doesn't matter because it relates to acting and to
I don't know why I
comedy.
I apologize.
No, don't worry. You don't apologize. So they're on the 8-yard line. They have 4 chances. Colin Kaepernick, 4 chances to win the game. If he gets those 8...
May I interject for the listener? If you're not a sports fan, he's tying this into show business and how you can succeed at your job. I don't want anybody running away from this.
That's right.
Pay attention now, because this is Katz. Yoda is back. Listen up.
This is incredible. So you got a guy on the other sidelines, Joe Flacco, who's essentially, at this point, he's won the game. He's done everything he can. But not everything in his business is in his control, and not everything as an actor or comedian is always in your control. So this guy, Colin, he's on the 8-yard line, and he has 4 chances to knock it in. If he gets the touchdown, he wins the game. He's the most valuable player. He's going to Disney World, and he's getting his contract renegotiated for multi-millions of dollars. If Joe Flacco sees that he doesn't do it, he's going to Disneyland.
It's $100 million.
He gets $100 million.
And by the way, for the listener, an actual $100 million.
An actual $100 million. So the point being is that Joe controlled his own destiny. He went out and did everything he could to win. At that point in time, it was out of his control. He went out and he gave everything, 10 times better than anybody thought he would be. But he still could have lost because Colin Kaepernick could have one-upped him and been 10 times better.
He could have created a fucking problem.
He could have created a problem. And he created a problem during the regular season, but when the money was on the line with 8 yards left, he couldn't create the fucking problem.
I will say this in Colin Kaepernick's defense, and this is where stand-up is so great. You're the only one up there. And if there's a problem, it is entirely your fault, or the crowd is so drunk they're not listening. Colin Kaepernick lines up with 8 yards to go. There are 24 feet separating him from immortality.
That's right.
And then they wear headsets inside their helmets. And a guy from the sideline says, pass it over to the right side to Michael Crabtree. And Colin Kaepernick, a rookie quarterback's probably going, I got Frank Gore, a running back from the University of Miami, behind me. I got Randy Moss on the other sideline ready to run. And I got Vernon Davis at tight end. I'm throwing it to my 4th best option. And they ran that play 3 freaking times.
I got news for you. Colin Kaepernick got words in his headset many times before in many other plays, and he took off and ran and scored touchdowns.
Right. And that's the difference between Peyton Manning and a Tom Brady. They'll get to the line of scrimmage, they'll see the coverage, they'll call an audible and go, we're not running that play. Literally, when you watch football, a guy touches his ass with his left hand. That's like an entire play that just got redone. That means I'm going to drop back to pass Frank Gore is going to stay and block for me, but then I'm going to hand the ball off to Frank Gore as the linebackers are jogging backwards into coverage. Touchdown. And he could have called an audible at any time.
And what I mean to say about this for anybody listening about the business is that sometimes you're going to be in a situation there'll be a big opportunity for you. Let's say you're at the Montreal Just for Laughs Festival. Your first time there, you got a gala. It's a big thing. You got a big star hosting. And you get there and the first guy bombs. And the second person bombs, and you're looking out in the crowd and you realize the average age is 70 and some people don't speak English. Well, you have to figure out how to win. You can't go out and bomb. You're going to have variables. If you're an actor, sometimes you go to the test, a weird thing happens. You get there and they're like, oh, by the way, since we're an hour early, we're going to add this one line here and this one line there. If you're on SNL, you're about to go on. They're crossing off cue cards, doing this and that. And you have to go out and you have to be amazing.
But you also have to have the fortitude and faith in yourself and pride in yourself. I'm agreeing with you. To call your own audible. To say, well, since you've added dialogue, let me get another hour. Let me go sit in my car and memorize this because I don't want to do it poorly. Because a lot of times you go, well, I don't want to piss them off. If they're worth their weight in salt, they'll go, oh, of course. And that was what they did with Jerry Maguire when they said, how about sugar? I didn't prepare any of those lines. I asked them for a day. They gave me 3. And I didn't sleep for 3 days. I just memorized it. You would call me up and say one sentence. There was about 14 different things I could have said. You would just call me up and go, I'm on the phone. And I would say, just Cronin's for lunch, yes or no? Like I knew the line no matter whatever you said, I knew it. So perfect example of what you're saying, and I guess this is just advice to people that are starting. I did a corporate gig in McCall, Idaho for very rich, very white, very drunk people at a golf club in the snow in a little lodge. And there's only about 28 people, and these people were hammered. And I'm up there in a suit because it's corporate. I look out, they're wearing jeans and they're wearing flannel shirts and cowboy boots. Like that's corporate casual to them because it's the middle of Idaho. Like you land in Boise and you drive 4 hours to this place through the snow. And I go up on stage and I go, well, I didn't know business casual was overalls and a white girl in your trunk. And, like you have to address it. And then I took my tie off. I go, thank God. And then I started taking off my jacket and I unbuttoned my shirt a little bit. But they were so drunk. They started walking on stage just to go like give peace signs to their friends and walk off. Now, ordinarily, I would say, you got to get off. What are you doing? However, this is a corporation. Live Nation put it together. There's a representative from Live Nation there. And like, it's always an audition your whole life. It never ends. As Jason Robart said in the movie Parenthood, you never spike the football. There's no dance. When the clock hits 0, you die. You never spike the football. There's always another play to run. So I realized, look, I'm their guest. They're paying me a grip of money to come up here. I had to take a freaking prop plane to get here.
Which if anybody knows you'll never do.
When you have kids, you don't care anymore. You're like, I'll die in a plane. Just give me the money and let me get home. And what I did instead, the Audible, and I'm trying to make this not sound like I'm jerking myself off, but I didn't know it was going to come up. It plays into what you're saying. The Audible was, yeah, this is your night. Get everybody come up. If you want to come up, come up. And just one by one, they just kept drunkenly climbing on stage. But here was my own personal victory. There was one lady that was so annoying. She was the worst. She was throwing scarves on stage. Like not even good shit. It wasn't like panties and a bra.
Better than ice cubes.
She would just she would throw like one boot, like someone else's sock. Like just nothing made sense. She was just yelling stupid shit. And I said, the next time, I looked at my watch, it was 48 minutes. Contractually, I got 2 minutes to go. If she climbs on stage at any time after 50 minutes, I'm saying goodnight, I'm jumping off the front of the stage, and I'm leaving her up there. And I swear to God, 55 minutes, she fucking climbs on stage, staggers towards the back of the stage, and I go, you guys are amazing. I love you so much. Good night. And I jump off. She was up there for 10 minutes, just walking back and forth. She didn't know what to do with herself because the lights go out, and she's alone on the stage.
But the thing is, you called the Audible.
Yeah, if you guys want to come up. It's their night.
You called the Audible, and
they could have had anybody they wanted.
I can guarantee you will get another gig or more from that gig.
Going to Orlando, March 4th. That's the big one.
And because
my buddy Corey at Live Nation said, you're so relaxed up there. I go, bro, I don't understand what comic isn't relaxed up there. It's all we know how to do. Oh, and by the way, if anybody